Moving on to Black Widow, who is inarguably S tier. I mean, the one-shot capability, if you can hit a shot, you're going to want to play Black Widow. That's why I don't play Black Widow, because I'm 28 years old, and my aim looks like I'm actually like 52, so kind of like my hairline. It just... I might cry this video. Alright, before you rage into the comments, please know this is meant to be satire, and I realize that I'm bronze. Enjoy cringing at my hot takes with less than 10 hours in the game. Fix this. Can I just do this? Oh. So, if I want the green to go all the way up to the top, this is a very funky way to do things. There, see how much better that looks? Everybody knows that green means good. Why would you ever put green as the letter D? Also, we did an F tier on the thumbnail. So we're just gonna skip. I mean, no one really likes A's in school, right? Surely. I mean, I didn't get any of them, so. Alright, so we're gonna go ahead and start with our boy Wolverine here. Wolverine has been, basically, from what I can tell, an anti-tank. I mean, of course, you also have Frogger using him to push people completely off the edge of maps, which is hysterical. And also, I appreciated all the edits from Frogger. I mean, who doesn't love a Frogger video, right? Well, regardless, Wolverine seems reasonably strong, but he doesn't seem super overpowered, so I would lovingly put him at a B tier. He seems about there, right? I'm sure Deadpool would be very proud of me for putting him there. I really hope they put Deadpool in this game. That just occurred to me. That would be so cool. Moving on to Cloak and Dagger. I'll be honest with you, when I saw Cloak and Dagger, I thought this was just a variation of the Invisible Woman. I don't know much about Cloak and Dagger, so because I don't know anything, that means they're obviously trash. I mean, there's just no two ways about it. Straight to F tier. Iron Fist. What a legendary... I actually had an Iron Fist t-shirt. You knew what I meant. I had a t-shirt growing up that was an Iron Fist t-shirt, and I had no idea what it was. But my mom knew I liked superheroes. It said Marvel on it, on the tag, so she was like, surely he'll know what that is. And I said, no, I don't. Either way, another Frogger video. I mean, Iron Fist. I mean, who didn't love the Iron Fist videos from Frogger? I mean, he just kind of made him look good, but let's all be honest, he's not good. He's just good when put in the right hands. It's kind of like Genji, is kind of how I've understood it, coming from the Overwatch world. So I wouldn't put him at B tier with Wolverine. I would not put him at F tier with Cloak and Dagger. I'd put him at like D tier. Nah, let's go C tier. Frogger's brought him to C tier. Let's make it a C tier. Psylocke. Now, this crazy lady is seemingly a flanker like Iron Fist has been, and just really annoying. Now, I could be speaking completely out of my tail end right now. I have no idea, but this seems to be the case in all of the games that I've played of Quick Play, and I don't like it. That said, she does seem reasonably strong. I'd put her right up there at B tier with Wolverine. Moving on to Black Widow, who is inarguably S tier. I mean, the one-shot capability, if you can hit a shot, you're going to want to play Black Widow. That's why I don't play Black Widow, because I'm 28 years old, and my aim looks like I'm actually like 52, so kind of like my hairline. It just... I might cry this video. Squirrel Girl. Can anybody else just acknowledge the fact that none of us had a clue who this chick was? I still don't think any of us really know. We just know that she's got a southern accent, screams squirrel stampede, and apparently scampede, and you just kind of pucker a little bit and hope that you have some high ground. I don't think she's really that strong, but her ultimate's very annoying, and it's really not that strong. It's very easy to get around, but it's just, I don't know. I gotta put her at C tier with Iron Fist. I feel like that's where she belongs. Black Panther. I don't see a lot of Black Panther, I gotta say. In the games that I've played, I don't see him picked very often, which implies to me he's probably not very good. So I'm gonna put him at D tier. Penny Parker. Now here's one I've seen quite a bit, and I would say Penny Parker is a solid B tier. Seems pretty reasonable, right? I mean, surely you guys would agree with that, right? I mean, that's a Vanguard, by the way. I always forget that. Penny Parker always kind of seems like they would be a, whatever, it's not strategist. It's, strategist is support. What is a, my son is very upset at Penny Parker. He does not like my take. Regardless of what a DPS is actually called, because right now it's escaping me, and I'm sure my editor is very upset because he's probably looked it up by now and is like flaming me on the screen right now. But either way, We're gonna just leave Penny Parker B tier. Seems good. Moving on to my Vanguard main, Magneto, who immediately goes to S tier, and I really don't think you can argue that one. This one is somewhat less comedic and much more serious. To me, at this stage, Magneto seems like he's a solid S tier tank. Are there better tanks? Maybe, but I still think he belongs in that upper echelon because he kind of gives me this, like, Sigma vibe. You know, I keep making, Overwatch references, but he gives me this Sigma impression because he feels like he's very well rounded. Like you can do a lot of different things with this tank. He doesn't feel super confined to one thing. And I think being that well rounded and versatile is going to make him a really strong tank. Or Vanguard. You knew what I meant. Look at me still using Overwatch terms. I'm so sorry. I'm still recovering. All right, moving on to Magik. I know nothing about Magik, so we're going to put them in F tier. Spider-Man is an interesting one. I believe Spider-Man has a very high skill floor. He seemed like when I played him for just a few minutes, he seemed like you would need to have a good understanding of him in order to go up the ranks. And for that reason, I think he's a solid B tier. Because those kinds of heroes, once you get them, at least from my previous experience, once you get those heroes mastered, you can easily make this hero an S tier hero because you know what you're doing. But I still think there's some other DPS, for lack of a better term, duelists. That's what they're called. I just remembered. And now my editor's mad again. We're going to move on to Venom now, which, by the way, whoever they did the voice actor, whoever they hired as the voice actor, well done. He did a great job with Venom. Anyway, Venom is inarguably S tier. A lot of the Vanguards really do feel S tier right now, and I'm not too sure that that's a good thing, if I'm being honest. But I would say that Venom, just whenever he's played, he's very oppressive. So it feels like and maybe it's because of his character and how it's designed, but it really feels like him being there is very intimidating. And maybe I'm just scared. I don't know. I mean, he used to haunt my dreams as a child, so that's a thing. All right, let's talk about Scarlet Witch. And boy, do I have some things to say about her, but let's just start with placing her at an easy S tier. Scarlet Witch has been one of the most difficult heroes to play against, and maybe it's because I haven't learned enough, but I will say this one's a little bit more serious than the rest. I do think she may be on the border of busted for her ultimate specifically. Oddly enough, she kind of plays a little bit more like Moira if Moira didn't heal, which, I mean, let's be honest, what Moira is actually healed in Overwatch. Emotional damage! But just the way that she can auto-aim by just looking at you, and it does a fair amount of damage. And then her ultimate, I mean, I know I've already touched on that, but her ultimate seems super, super strong. And I haven't quite figured out how to get out of it yet. I've died a lot to Scarlet Witch ults. It haunts my nightmares. I'm trying to remember his ultimate line. Why can't I remember it? It's not fantastic. It's not incredible. It's, what is it that he says? Oh, I thought it was legendary. Oh, it's Legend Fury. Interesting. Well, we're going to talk next about this very legendary hero. See what I did? I literally just Googled what he says so that I could make that pun. Please hit the like button if you haven't already for that joke, or leave a dislike because you hated the joke. I don't care. But either way, Starlord is very, 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 very horrible. He's like a D tier for sure. It seems like he has a lot of potential if you play him a bit more like Tracer, who has vertical mobility, but I don't know. And maybe he's right up there with Spider-Man and I'm just kind of sleeping on this hero. I guess we'll see in future tier lists. Storm is another one that I truly think is difficult to place. I guess not really another one, as I haven't really had a difficult one to place. They've all been pretty instantaneous, but Storm is one that I haven't seen a lot of, and I think therefore I'm going to go ahead and keep her with Black Panther. Just not very commonly played, which implies to me there's probably a reason for that. Let's move on to the easiest S tier placement ever, Luna Snow. Now, I understand they just nerfed the way that her ultimate works quite significantly, and I'm excited about that because, I mean, how many TikToks have you seen where it's, I'm about to ult, and then you just hear some weird lady that looks like she's probably stripping a little bit, but her clothes stay on. Can I say that as a Christian?
Can Spider-Man? Yeah.
In all seriousness, she says, I'm ready to put on a show, and short of there being a pole in the middle of her ultimate, that's what it looks like. So I don't, and no one dies. It's the weirdest thing. But she does seriously seem to be a really strong support, and I really hope that the change to her ultimate does nerf her a bit, because that was a little strong. Let's talk about Hulk, who I very much have equated to Diva in a couple of ways, because, you know, you have the Bruce Banner form, and then you have the Hulk form, and I'm not quite sure how all that works, but it does seem like after he sort of de-Hulks, if you will, he becomes Bruce Banner, which seems to be a guy that looks just like Baby Diva with a little pistol. I mean, it seems to have a very similar vibe. But from what little I have seen of Hulk, he does seem incredibly strong, but only in the right hands. So I have to put him at B tier. I've seen some really good Hulk players that have just made him an inarguable S tier, but I think just as a tank, or Vanguard, sorry, he's good, but he's not as good as some of the others. Doctor Strange, for a lot of the same reasons, we aren't going to spend super long on him, definitely a B tier as well. I've seen some really good Doctor Strange players from just like clips and stuff on TikTok especially, but I will say too that when he does his ultimate, maybe it's just because I don't understand how it works, but it doesn't really seem to do a whole lot. It just, more or less, it seems like a CC, and I think that maybe that's a good thing for a tank, but it's not that fun. So I'm gonna just arbitrarily place him at B tier. Namor is like Torbjorn in my mind, and maybe it's because there's this like turret, you know, versus his little octopus creatures where they have these auto aim things you can just leave around and he does extra damage from it. And he seems like he himself does a fair amount of damage, but his shots are hard to land and all that kind of stuff. I really think that he's a solid B tier, bordering, by the way, into S tier. I just don't know enough about him to put him in S tier with some of the others that I've put up there. Adam Warlock, for the same reason as Magik and Cloak and Dagger, is going to go into F tier. I have no idea what he even does. I know he's a support or a strategist, but other than that, I don't know what he does, and I haven't seen him picked a lot. Thor, this one's probably going to be fairly controversial, but he feels C tier to me. He's giving C tier. He's not very mindful, nor is he very demure.
How do you do, fellow kids?
What?
just like baiting for the TikTok clicks at this point. But in all seriousness, Thor is just, he doesn't get picked a lot, but when he does, he seems like he could actually be fairly oppressive. But, I mean, I don't know. I just haven't seen very many good Thor players. Maybe a lot of this is just that I need more experience, which isn't surprising. I've already admitted I'm bronze. I don't have a whole bunch of experience. But look how almost well-rounded this is becoming. We're starting to get evened out here. We'll see if that lands. And speaking of land, let's talk about another character that I'd never heard of in the Marvel Universe called Jeff the Land Shark. I am putting him at S tier. Probably because of all the clips. I mean, you've probably noticed that's really what I have to go off of at this point is clips and the few games that I've played. But Jeff just seems freaking hilarious to play. I remember playing a game, and when I thought he swallowed just the enemies, I was in the circle, and I'm like, oh, right, I'll be able to fight whoever's left. And then I disappeared, and I'm like, wait, he's on my team, right? And I had this, like, whole moment where I was like, what just happened to me? And then we were all just ganging up on this poor Venom. It was like that Venom was the only enemy that he actually ate. The rest of it was just us, his allies. But I do think because of that displacement ultimate, as well as just his ability to heal, he really does seem like a really strong support. Captain America. I don't think you'll ever understand how much I wanted him to be above a C tier. Cap is such a great hero. I love him. I love the stories. He's got an underdog story, obviously, for those of you who don't know the Marvel Universe. If you haven't seen Captain America, the movie at least, you should probably go watch that. It's very, very good. And even if you're a Team Iron Man person, that's okay. You should unsubscribe. I'm kidding. Please don't do that. Please stay. Come back. Come back. In all seriousness, Captain America is probably my favorite of the Marvel Cinematic Universe, especially. And I was very strongly biased to hope that he would be good, but he's just not. He's really not. Their Soldier. Another one of those heroes that seems like he'd be S tier when put in the right hands. And by hands, I mean like Shroud. Someone who can aim, literally hit every shot. And if you do, oh my goodness, this man could probably rival a Black Widow if his damage fall off wasn't there. Let's move right along. to Moon Knight, who is an immediate S tier. How many times have I heard the moon haunts you and I'm just dead? I'm like, didn't he just ult? I died in like 2 seconds. It wasn't even that long, I don't think. And they need to, in my opinion, nerf the area that his ultimate affects. And I think that would allow for it. Not like a huge, like probably take it down 25% from where it is. And I think it would make it a little bit easier to avoid, but also not so easy that it's going to be avoided every time. I could be wrong. Never balanced a game before, but that's how it seems. Hawkeye. I thought he was going to be easier than he really is for me. He's bordering into an S tier for me because of his one-shot abilities, but he's not really actually one-shot. He's going B tier. He's good. I just don't think that he's as good as, like, Black Widow. So I have to put him in B tier. Isn't it interesting how Widowmaker and Hanzo, which are, I mean, let's all be honest with each other, these are just like carbon copies, hero kit wise. But I do really think that Hawkeye has a lot of potential, but he's got to be placed in the right hands. Groot. Why did I say it like that? Why was it like almost? I don't know what's wrong with me right now. I might just be tired. That could be. Groot is a very good Vanguard. Very good Vanguard. I've been very impressed at some of the abilities for people to just pick him up and play him and get insane value out of him. He has a very low skill floor. I don't know much about his skill ceiling yet. I haven't seen too much of him. But man, love Groot. Definitely could see him being S tier for sure. The Punisher. I really want to call him A tier. There is no A tier on my list. So therefore he has to go into S tier. He's so strong. I've seen one of my buddies, even though if I play, the duelist, I play the Punisher. The person that I've seen play him the best is actually one of my friends, Dylan Dubs. Even Tin the Tatman said, dude, this guy's playing a really good Punisher. And he is. He's insane. He knows right when to switch weapons. He hits every shot. It's crazy to watch. He's got to be S tier. Hela, I mean, she's obviously F tier. This hero has not ever done anything good. I can't take myself seriously. She almost belongs in her own category. Hela is such an oppressive hero. I really didn't read the patch notes very well, but I hope she got nerfed pretty heavily on her primary fire. Iron Man is a C tier for me. Iron Man is one of those that if you can land his projectiles, you probably would do well, but I can't. So I'm going to say C tier because I have a skill issue. Loki is super annoying. I'm going to say that he's a B tier. Don't think he's quite S tier, but he's definitely a really solid support. Or, gosh, I keep using the old terms. One of these days I'll get it. Strategist. I really appreciate the cloning ability they did. They aren't super strong clones, and it is kind of hard to discern which one of them is him until they start running in a different direction. So I think that they've done his like kit very good service, and I think that he's a pretty strong hero. Rocket Raccoon. I'm going to tell you right now, this will be the most controversial take on this list. And if you've been mad at this point, you're going to get worse. And if you haven't been, now's your time. Rocket is an immediate S tier. Let me tell you why. This one is a bit more serious to me, and there are so many people on both sides of the camp with him. But here's my take. He has the ability to both do damage like Baptiste from Overwatch and heal like Moira from Overwatch. I don't understand how people actually think he's not good. It may be more because of his kit beyond the just damage and healing and his armor packs and the ultimate. But I really think, especially if you can get a Rocket Raccoon, a Punisher, and a Winter Soldier, forgot what he was called for a second. The team up ability there especially is just, it's so good. So good. I just don't understand why people don't like Rocket. I'm sure you're all sounding off in the comments now, and I'll look at them later. Mantis is another one that I don't really see her get picked a lot. She may be just a slept-on hero, but I really don't see her get picked a lot. But she does seem good when she's played. So it's just kind of like in here because I haven't seen a lot. Mr. Fantastic borderline makes me want to create a whole new tier where we beg them to nerf him. Because holy crud, he should not be a duelist. He needs to be Vanguard. there's another controversial take. And I actually don't think that one's that controversial, to be honest with you, but the abilities that he has in his kit to beef up, no pun intended, his health, his shields, whatever you want to call it, he has too many tanky abilities to be considered a duelist. It's actually mind-boggling that he's not a Vanguard. I don't get that. I hope they just make that change. It'll be like Doomfist, though. Everybody will be like, oh, I missed damage, Doomfist. It'll be the same thing with this guy. I missed damage. He's a Vanguard. Get over yourselves. Last and certainly not least, we have the Invisible Woman, which is pretty much how most of my high school dating life was. Telling everybody I had a girlfriend. She was just invisible. That's really sad. I'm like mourning for old David. Young David? Former David? Mourn with me. Cry a little bit. If you shed a tear, make sure you leave a comment and let me know so I'm not alone. Invisible Woman is very strong. I think she's really good. I like the shield they gave her. I think that everybody's concern was that she was going to become the next Sombra in like the damage world of things. But she's very strong. She has to go S tier. One of the things that I think I appreciate now looking at this whole list is that there are very few heroes that are just objectively awful and you should never play them. And these aren't necessarily that because, again, the F tier, I've never seen them picked, so I don't know much about them. These I've rarely seen picked and they don't get played well when they are. But these ones I think are questionably up in these two areas. And that's something that I think I really like about Marvel Rivals is that none of the heroes seem like they're just unplayable. They all seem like you can kind of get away with playing them. I know these bronze takes were very cringy, but hopefully you at least got a laugh out of it. And if you did, be sure to check out this video right here, because this is my first ever Overwatch 2 tier list, and I was also bronze for that one.